Hey guys, welcome to Rising Vibrations. I'm Inga. This reading is for those of you who are looking for something a bit different. I'm not even sure where to start on this because I think a lot of people might reject these readings, but I'm trying to do something a bit different. I'm trying to do something that's not like really typical. Um, if you follow me, if you watch my channel, then you would be aware of the fact that I love mythology and I also love folklore. I've been studying and reading it for years. And if you know this volume, I know you know some of the stories from the Grimm's fairy tales, like Rapunzel or Rumpelstiltskin, or even Snow White. But this family, these two brothers, catalog about 210 different folklore stories from Germany. I'm not German, I'm American, but I was born in Germany. I've lived there for years and I have a close association with the culture. So I love these stories. They're a part of my childhood, and I think they're a part of uh, millions of people's childhood, one way or another. Even if you've seen the Hollywood movie, you know these stories. So I know that there's some information that we can pull out of these stories. So I am starting a series right now. The first parts of let's say these readings will be for Sagittarius because I feel like we need it right now. There's something very strange going on with Sagittarius. It has been for some time, where we are dealing with fear uh, and trying to get away from some emotions associated with our past, could be even people, and why we are processing this and working with this, because that's why you would be on the channel. You're looking for alternative ways to kind of process these issues and get over them and move on. Um, yeah, this is a bit of a different way to do it. And I have a bit of a different concept with these readings uh, that I hope will translate to the viewer. So get ready. It's not going to be what you expect. It's more for those of you who are looking for something different. You're a little bit bored. Um, you could be a bit despondent and you want to try something different. This would be for you. So, you guys, thanks for joining. I hope you enjoy. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, so the story that we're starting off with for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus exclusively. You can listen to this if you're another sign and you just like mythology. Doesn't matter. But this is for Sagittarius, and then we're going to pull tarot cards to see how it fits with Sagittarius right now. Could change even in the future. But I think there is a larger or greater message for Sagittarius right now at this point in our life. So let's go ahead and start. It's called The Devil. I don't know why my voice was The Devil with three golden hairs. Der Teufel mit den drei goldenen Haaren auf Deutsch in German. So the story goes like this. A poor woman gave birth to a son with a caul. That's where the amniotic sac is still intact at birth, which was interpreted to mean that he would marry the king's daughter at age 14. The wicked king, hearing of it, visited the family and persuaded them to allow him to bring the boy back and raise him in the castle. Instead, he put the boy in a box and threw him into the water so that he would not grow up to marry his daughter. Now, we recognize that already from the Bible, I believe with Moses, but okay. Rather than sink, it drifted to a mill where it was found by a miller and his wife. The two decided to raise the boy on their own. 14 years later, fast forward 14 years. By the way, the king was a bit of an asshole. So there's all kinds of stuff going on there. The king, number one, I don't know. It seems to me like the king probably thought that his daughter would be too good for the boy. Or it could be also that the king has some kind of an issue with his daughter. This, it could be just a normal father protective issue, wanting the best for his daughter. We can't be sure. And he had a right to that, but probably not to kill an innocent child. Okay, so fast forward 14 years, the king happened to visit the mill inadvertently. Upon seeing the boy, the king asked the miller if he was his father, and then the miller explained the story of how his wife had come to raise the boy, he and his wife. Shocked, the king devised a way to rid himself of the boy once and for all. So number two, the miller was a little bit too honest. He's just putting his business all out there. I'm not sure. Maybe he was nervous because of the authority of the king. Maybe he didn't think about it. It just happened too quickly for him to put it together and think, wasn't it a little suspicious to find a baby in a box? Okay. Anyway, so shocked, the king devised a way to rid himself of the boy once and for all. He gave the young man a sealed letter and instructed him to deliver it to the queen. Inside the letter, the writing, the words, commanded that the boy be killed and buried once he arrived. On his way to deliver the letter, the boy sought shelter in an old woman's house for the night. Despite her warnings that robbers frequented the house, the boy fell asleep, claiming he could walk no further. When the bandits arrived, they read the letter and took pity on the boy. Without waking him, they put a new letter in his place, dictating that the boy should marry the king's daughter upon his arrival. When the morning came, the bandits pointed him in the direction of the castle and said, "Okay, go on your way. Go ahead. It's all good. We didn't steal all your stuff." Well, he probably didn't have anything to steal. I guess they could have killed him, but So here we have this little finagling from the outside sources, and also the fate that he happened upon bandits that didn't kill him. Okay, so the wedding proceeded, and when the king returned, he dispatched the boy to travel into hell and returned with 3 of the devil's golden hairs, and yet another effort to rid himself of his new son-in-law. So he's pushing it. The king has tried to throw an innocent brand new baby in a box and drown it. The next thing, he tried to have the boy responsible for his own execution, because the little naive boy who doesn't even think to sneak and read the letter, he's just the little boy's like, "Ho hum, I'm going to do whatever anybody tells me." He's got to take the letter and deliver it, and then they're going to. And back then, they had a pretty heavy way to kill people, drawing and quartering people. We all know about those horrible things, and they would kill kids too back then. So here we go. I'll try to stop editing. The boy is confronted with 3 questions on his journey, fool's journey, as he travels between 2 towns and across the river. So he travels to 3 places, 2 towns, and across the river Styx to get to hell, to Hades. When passing through each, he is asked his trade, meaning, "What do you know?" The boy responds 3 times, "I know everything," at the first time, at the first time, next time, at the next town, "I know everything." And when he's going to go across the river, at that time, he's asked, "What do you know?" He said, "I know everything." He is then asked each of the 3 times, at the first town, the people say, "Our town well is dry. Before, wine used to come out, and now water nor wine come out." Once they try to tell him, let me read it specifically. He is then asked why the first town's well, once sprung forth wine, no longer dispenses water. Now that's a little bit deep, because we know that Jesus turned water into wine. So I don't know where the story was going with that, and it doesn't go into that. But they just want to know. why this town well isn't giving first wine and then water. It's dry. The well is dry. In the second town, he is asked why a tree that once produced golden apples will not even sprout a leaf. So the tree is dead. When he is taken to the river Styx, the ferryman asks him why he must always row back and forth across the river Styx. And he's not free to do otherwise. He just has to go back and forth across this river. It's like, why do I got to do this? Now, I don't know why they're all asking a little 14-year-old child these questions, but I don't know. Each time he's asked these questions, his only reply is, "You shall know that only when I come back." So I'm not sure if this little child had a premonition or if he was just cocky, naive, and probably like he was scared. He didn't know what to tell him. So he's like, "I'll tell you later. Let me get back to you. Let me get back to you." I don't know. Maybe he thought he would figure it out along the way and he was just trying to buy time. But he showed like he was confident. They asked him, "What's your trade? What do you know?" He said, "I know everything." "Well, okay, we have this problem. We can't get water. The tree doesn't grow any fruit, any golden apples." Remember Adam and Eve and the tree with the apple. I won't go into the detail. And then the river Styx. "Why do I got to row this boat? Why have I been condemned to do this?" And he just says, "I'll let you know." So let's get on with it. The boy finds the entrance to hell on the other side of the river, and upon entering finds only the devil's grandmother. He tells her what he wants, and she promises to assist him how she can, turning him into an ant and hiding him in the folds of the clothing. The devil returns, and despite smelling human flesh in the air, is convinced to sit down, eat, and drink. Once he has done so, he lays his head in his grandmother's lap and he falls into an inebriated sleep. He's just drunk. Gluttony, it's the devil. So she plucks a golden hair from his head 3 times, causing him to awaken after every hair is pulled. Having assumed the pain was part of his dreams, he recounts his first visions to his grandmother: a dried up well in a town with a toad underneath blocking the flow of liquid, a tree that does not sprout fruit or leaves because a mouse is gnawing at its roots, and a ferryman who can be freed merely by placing his oar in the hands of another man on the river's bank. So he just solved all the problems with his psychic insight, I guess. Could be that he was reading the psychic energy from the little boy who had been turned into an ant. And so this is talking a little bit about psychic energy. So the next morning, once the devil had left the dwelling again, the boy was transformed back into his former self. Thanking the old woman, he took the 3 golden hairs and set off for home. Once again, he passed the river and 2 cities, disclosing the answers as he overheard the devil speak of them during the night. Each town gives him a pair of donkeys, asses, laden with gold, which he brings back with him to the castle. The king is pleased by the boy's return with such wealth and allows him to live in peace with his wife. He inquires on the source of the wealth he acquired, hoping to find some for himself. Little greedy king. The boy tells him the gold was found across the river. So that little boy just got real smart, didn't he? He changed during this journey. All the way from the beginning, when he was sent off, "Oh yeah, okay, I'm going to take this letter. I'm not even going to look inside." I don't know if that was right or wrong. But he was extremely naive. Again, it's the fool's journey. And by the time he's coming back, he's grown up a lot. He's matured. He's lost some of his innocence in this whole process. Even though we don't engage that, we don't really see that. But the boy tells him the gold was found across the riverbank. So I guess you can guess, you can figure out what happens, because the story ends with the king crossing the river with the ferryman, who hands him the oar upon reaching the other side, condemning him to a life of ferrying travelers back and forth forever. I love that story. I love that story for a lot of different reasons. And I guess we can try to get into this reading to see how this particular story, I should go and look at the volume of it. Maybe I'll try to put it in the bottom, which number it was. It might have been 129. No, it's not 129. I'll have to go and look up which one of the stories it is, but I would like to see how this applies for Sagittarius, what we can take away from this story right now for our lives. This is what I have been guided to do. For those of you who are looking for something a little bit different, just tired of these kind of same old readings, saying the same thing. So let's look and see what Sagittarius can learn out of this story right now. It's for Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. This old and Christian Henderson type Grimm's Brother fairy tale. What's in this story in terms also of the Fool's journey? We're starting off with the Two of Pentacles. It's a Two of Pentacles. I can already see this is going to be a challenge. Okay, hold on, guys. Let me center myself a bit. What can Sagittarius learn right now from the story? Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. For Sagittarius, that will assist them from the story. We have the Knight of Wands. We have the Seven of Swords. The Seven of Swords came yesterday in the same position, by the way. That's very interesting energy coming through for Sagittarius right now. This also came yesterday for Sagittarius. We have the Nine of Coins. So we're going to pull a few more. I would like to make the screen a little bit smaller because I don't think I need to be that big. So where we're starting off with this Two of Pentacles, I was hearing there's like, I don't have time for these games. I don't have time to play. I don't have time to have fun. I don't have time to enjoy life. It's a loss of a type of vigoration in terms of taking time out for yourself to play, for leisure, not doing everything around trying to accomplish something as well. You have to take time out for yourself as well. And this is also something about knowing the difference between right and wrong with this Two of Pentacles. And this is something that is very important to a Sagittarius: honesty, trust, being trustworthy, people telling the truth, people doing what's right, ethics, morality. These are very important subject matter and topics for a Sagittarius. Even though they can tend to break the rules with the Seven of Swords and also with the Nine of Pentacles, they can tend to bend or break the rules or the truth a little bit, but it's never to harm anyone. It's never to hurt anyone. This could be, and it looks to me like this part of the story where the little boy actually consciously sets his father-in-law now up for devastation, because he already has an idea of what he heard the devil himself say to do. He already heard the guy who was rowing across the river saying, I've had a millennia of misery here rowing back and forth across this river. I can't take it anymore. And he knew by then how his father-in-law was for whatever reason, I'm not sure. Because technically he didn't know that his father-in-law was trying to kill him all these 3 times since he was born. He had no idea that his father-in-law had tried to have him executed. So think about that part of the story, that he set his father-in-law up for basically death or servitude to the devil, without knowing supposedly what his father-in-law had done to him. So how does that apply to this? It looks like, and this is a bit of a interesting energy, that it is saying that the Sagittarius does have to perhaps not always think about what's best for others first, which we already talked about this, but perhaps they have to learn to be a little bit selfish. If you're in a situation where you are divulging too much information, because that was also part of the story, giving out too much information, telling too much, because you want to be honest, you know the difference between right and wrong, you want to be honest, you're valiant in this Knight of Wands, but can this hurt you with the Seven of Swords, being too honest, telling too much? You know, when you have a security detail or you have to go through a background check. Okay, let's do it like this. You know, when you're at the airport and you go through customs and they ask you questions, they say, how long will you be in the US, or where are you traveling to? You answer their question and their question only. You don't offer or volunteer any more information. You only answer the questions which you were asked. It's something like that here with the Seven of Swords and also the Nine of Pentacles. Also, what I see here is a situation with jobs. If you're applying for jobs, if you're interviewing for jobs, being comfortable with the story that you're telling, because the Sagittarius can get nervous if they're not telling the truth. It's hard for Sagittarius to sell a lie because they have this kind of internal moral compass that will almost cause them to break down if they know that something that they're saying isn't true. If you're in those situations, you may have to prepare yourself and convince yourself that what you're doing is for your greater or best benefit. So this is a very odd energy. I don't want to tell anyone to lie or to cheat, but it does look a bit like something similar to this. So let's see what else this energy from this story is bringing us from this old Grimm's fairy tale. And I'll just show you my little book because this is a very old one. Let's see what else this energy is bringing in for Sagittarius from the Grimm's fairy tale story. The devil with 3 golden hairs. This is for Sagittarius only. Okay, so I see this is number 29. I thought it was 129. It's number 29 from Brothers Grimm. So what else can Sagittarius learn from this story? Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. What can help them right now from this story? For Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. Helpful information. Let's try to focus this. We have the Four of Wands. We have the Seven of Water. This came yesterday, also in the same position. We have the Messenger of Air. the Sagittarius could want something that they're actually afraid to think about, or they're actually afraid to ask for. They can be afraid to dream, afraid to want, through fear of disappointment or not achieving or getting what they hoped for. What they ultimately want is a type of stability, which we're all aware of for Sagittarius right now with this Four of Wands. Really wanting a stable life, a stable situation, someone that they can count on, even a relationship in some cases. But they feel like it is elusive for them right now, especially with this Knight of Swords here. They feel like they can't catch it or they can't hold it. So yeah, it's interesting of how that would apply to the fairy tale that we just mentioned. Because there could be a type of feeling in the Sagittarius that life is cruel, and this is just how it will be. Either you are a sheep or you are a wolf, and they can feel like they're lost in between. They're definitely not a wolf, and they do not feel like a sheep. So where do they belong? Is this type of energy? We'll pull one more. For Sagittarius, what's the final advice for Sagittarius based on this story? We have the Eight of Wands. There is a need for logical, practical decisions, a lot of pragmatic decisions, a lot of pragmatic movements. There is a type of restriction here with purchases or with buying things, purchasing things, even with your plans and with your movements. Let's put this here so you can see this a bit better. It appears to me, or it seems to me, that Sagittarius has to be quite practical in what they're doing now to have a better result. There needs to be a type of practicality there. So let's pull it back to the story, and then we're going to go ahead and close out the reading. When the little... Okay, I just got a message, sorry. When the child was traveling and he did not know the answers to the questions that he was asked, he didn't say this. This was also back to this first issue that we say about being honest. Perhaps out of fear, or perhaps out of self-preservation, which we see here in the Nine of Pentacles. Perhaps he was nervous and he just thought, okay, I don't know these people. I will not tell them I don't know the answer, because who knows what they will do to me. So he took a very practical approach, again, stalling for time, because Sagittarius also keeps getting that to stall by telling them, when they asked him, what do you know? I know everything, so I'm valuable. Don't do anything to harm me. Okay, we have this problem. Can you fix it? He didn't say, I don't know how to fix that. He said, I'll tell you when I come back. So this was a very practical, a very diplomatic approach that we also see in this Knight of Swords. Even though normally the Knight of Swords can be quite rash and spontaneous and impractical, the energy is settled down by this Seven of Water. Also by the Seven of Coins. Also by the Seven of Swords, which is underneath here. And then by the Nine of Pentacles. With this coming in conjunction with those, it's a type of practicality. So I think a need to think quick on your toes as well. That could be the Nine of Swords. That you might have to think quick on your toes, and in that case, being practical. Also, with this Eight of Wands, this is a fast, quick energy of something coming in or something about to happen, and having the ability to think quick on your feet. You still have to build something up to come with the right comeback or the right result or the right answer. This could also be a need to be prepared, that you put a lot of fillers out there, even job applications out there. You've made the contact, maybe not even really believing with the Seven of Swords that you're going to get this, because in a way, perhaps you're doubting it. But it appears that what you're doing, you should be practical in that you've prepared yourself for the outcome of what you perceive or want. I'm applying for this job. I plan to move here. I'm pursuing this relationship, and I'm prepared for the result, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So that when it comes through, you're not like, what? Even something so simple, if you ask someone out on a date and they you don't really expect them to say yes, or it could be that someone comes in and say, oh, hey, Sagittarius, do you want to do this, or do you want to go here? But you're not really prepared or ready for it. This is a very odd energy coming on the top of this story. It's something about preparation. We're going to pull one more just for final confirmation. And then we're going to close out the reading because I'm not sure how well this is recording. We have the Seven of Wands. Is he prepared? I don't know. I would say so. In order for him to be in the pole position or in the high ground, he probably had to plan that, because normally in these times with battles, this was well known that you want to take the high ground. So this is someone who was strategically prepared for what they're into or what's coming towards them even. So overall, I would say that Sagittarius, while we have been waiting and waiting and waiting and getting really like, I'm tired of waiting. This is a nice distraction, of course. This is the Four of Wands. It's a nice distraction, this whole moment that we're having here. But at some point, I hope you're ready for all the things that you thought about. I hope you're prepared also with this Seven of Wands and the Eight of Wands. I hope you're prepared now to start to see some of the outcomes. It's very important, because you may have already given up in a lot of ways. You may not really believe things will happen for you, or that there will be a turn in events with these Two of Pentacles. But perhaps you ought to prepare yourself for something. Let's leave it there, because I think this computer is about to crash because I've overloaded the system. We will see how the recording will come out, and maybe if you guys like it, let me know in the comments below so I can choose another story, or if you have ideas for a story, because I would like to do some other ones too. I'll let you know about it later. Then go ahead and leave them in the comments section, and don't forget to smash that like button and hit subscribe. Otherwise, you guys take care.